This is new and different. What? But the same old us. But
I mean, same old us, but you love us, so.
Duh. Welcome to The Cup, the currently unnamed podcast where the tea is piping hot and we are always ready to spill. I'm Logan Murphy, just a gay, here today with my pink beverage because, obviously.
Why not? Why not? And I am Lana, your resident diva, here doing what I love, what I want, because I can. And we're here to spill some reality. And I like it, like Logan said, piping hot. So I got my extra large cup today because I'm ready to fill it up and, get all the tea. So, period.
We love abnormally large beverage containers.
Exactly.
And we are here to spill all of the tea on Australian Survivor.
What?
Oh my god!
Who are we to talk about Australian Survivor? Oh my!
An Australian Survivor superfan.
Period.
And
an Australian Survivor newbie. That's me. I've never watched Survivor Australia before, ever, until this season. And can I just say, as a newbie to this franchise of Survivor, I might become a fan.
Good. Oh, I'm so glad.
It's true. I'm loving these first 3 episodes because I have never been so hooked on Survivor in ever. I was so excited to watch, even when I was dead tired. And I'm like, I need to go to sleep. I can't watch another episode, but I can't turn it off. So I need to watch the next episode. I was very excited. So I'm ready.
I'm also a fairly new fan. The only seasons that I've watched live now are 5 and 6. This is season 7 of the new format of Australian Survivor. There were 2 seasons in the early aughts, but they stopped and then started again and all that kind of stuff. If you know Australian Survivor, then you know the whole situation. But I've been hooked on Australian Survivor ever since I discovered it. I'm very, very excited to discuss this new Blood versus Water season of Australian Survivor with you all. It's a great way to start. Honestly, I'm already kind of guessing based on how the first week has gone. Anything can happen. But based on this first week alone, I think this is honestly the best possible gateway season for any new Australian Survivor viewers. The only other one I would say maybe is the season Russell Hantz was on, if you're a fan of Russell Hantz, but I'm not. So,
I don't know. I've, like I said, not being someone who watched this version, I've only watched U.S. Survivor, and I enjoy U.S. Survivor. Don't get me wrong, I enjoy it because but I felt like Australian Survivor gave more, and we'll talk about it. And it just seems like it just gave a lot more, and maybe it was because they could with the 3 episodes a week, and Survivor US can only do as 1, but I just was very much engaged, and Blood versus Water thing was great. Like you said, I think for somebody who's never watched before, it was nice to see those people and their loved ones and the backgrounds and their stories. I enjoy it. So I'm ready to jump into it. I'm ready to jump into everything because the intros, let me just say, graphics, intros, Survivor Australia, you ate down.
It's been, I will say it's been season 1. The one thing I can say about Australian Survivor is they bring production value.
Yes.
Every single episode, it's production value at its best. every one of the intros for every season of Australian Survivor they've done so far has been phenomenal. This may be my favorite, honestly. The All-Stars one was really good. And the Brains versus Brawn last season was also very, very good. Because that one, you saw a little bit of it in the intro for Blood versus Water, but they literally drove through the Australian outback on dune buggies. Like, it was so cool. The cinematography was cool. The way they set up this intro as well was phenomenal. I do want to say as well, the very first shot we get, episode 1, is a land acknowledgement. And I seriously, like, they're always good about their land acknowledgements in Australia. And I just sincerely appreciated it. Because US does it at the very end of their episodes. But I loved seeing it with Australia.
It was really great to see it.
So yes, the intro, it was really cool.
The intro was cool. The way they introduced the contestants were cool. I really just loved it. And like you said, the production value is amazing throughout the season, throughout the show, or whatever. It's a little triggering for some people. Let me just say, for me, I was a little triggered because I don't like snakes. And I know, Survivor's about, and they don't skimp on showing you snakes and alligators and all kind of stuff being like creepy with the eye and the alligator. It's like, oh, okay, a little jarring. And
it takes you a second, yeah.
And they do that in US Survivor too, with the little, little creepy crawlies going around. But this was great. But it was definitely kudos to you for great production value.
Yeah. As someone who's seen every season, though, in my notes, I did note down specifically who was mentioned in the intro package, because
everybody wasn't.
So yes, and Australian Survivor does great with their production value, but they also don't do so great at, they do the thing where they tell you who you need to be looking at.
Okay. Well, then that lets me know who I don't need to be looking for, because I was very much confused as I was taking my notes. I took notes, and I was writing down the names, and I was writing down everybody, and I was like, okay, so and so and so, and I missed like people. Like, I had to go back and was like, 1, 2, 3, 4, like counting the members of the tribe. Like,
they don't highlight everyone.
Yeah, because I surely, but yes,
I'm pretty sure across all 6 seasons that they've done so far, they include the winner in the intro package.
Okay.
So someone you saw in the intro package is likely the winner of the season. I'm just gonna say that it's been true for most of the other seasons. It's probably gonna be true for this one. So. I did write down who we saw. We start with Jordy and Jesse, the brothers.
Yep.
Cute.
I mean, they
Sure. We also see KJ and Sophie, who I love both of them.
I enjoyed them.
KJ getting a little bit less screen time than Sophie has, but nevertheless, one of the pairings that is getting the most screen time equally is Croc and Christie. Oh boy, we will talk a lot about Christie.
I like Croc. Let me just say,
I love Croc.
Croc is somebody who I was like, oh.
Okay.
But see, Croc is one of those rugged, kind of cute kind of guys. And I'm like, oh, okay. But then watching his packet, he's such a soft teddy bear kind of. I want to just hug him and cuddle with him and just.
Oh, me too. Oh yeah.
Croc is nice. Croc is nice, and the dynamic between that him and Christie is complete contrast, but I love it
because I love it. I love that he's a super fan and she has no
idea,
absolute idea what she's doing.
No clue. She's like, I don't even know what I'm doing here.
There's a lot of those this season. We'll talk about Juicy Dave. We'll talk about Dave, but there's a lot of them where it seems like they may have asked, like the super fan of the couple may have asked or may have asked a few other people before the person that they ended up going on the show with. That's all I'm going to say about that. We also see Con and Amy. Con from MasterChef Australia. I did not know him from that, but
I didn't know him at all.
He was on 2 seasons of it, I think, and didn't win, but I'm loving Con. We'll talk a lot about Con. And then we get the returners, if you will. Not all of them are returners, but the people with returning people in their pairing.
In their pairings, right.
Yeah, so we see Andy from Champions versus Contenders with his sister Kate. I don't like Andy. I didn't like Andy on his first season. I don't like Andy now. Just no. It's a no for me.
As someone who did not know Andy, I did not know of Andy, don't know who he was. Andy came off as somebody, because like he said in his previous season, he was kind of snaky or whatever in his previous season, and he wanted to play somewhat different, and he did not play that much differently to me. From what I saw, if I was there, he would have probably been someone who I keep my eye on, because I'm like, not only is he a returning, but just his actions throughout the episode, which we'll talk about, I would have been like, I don't know about this guy. I don't know how I feel about him. I don't know if I would vote him out. But that's just me not knowing anything about his prior season. He just seemed like somebody who I would have kept my eye on in the game anyway, because he just seemed that very much take charge, I know everything type of attitude, and it wouldn't have rubbed me the right way. I would always go for that guy, that person. He would always go for me.
Yeah, we'll talk very little about Andy, and it makes me very happy. We also have Mark and Sam, who were both on season 2. Met on Survivor, fell in love. They have a family. They're back. I, for one, as someone who's watched their original season, I'm very happy to see both of them back. They're not traditionally players that I would root for. And I didn't necessarily root for or against them on their original season. But this was a casting choice that was very interesting for me. Of all of the possible permutations of people they could have brought back, I wouldn't have necessarily guessed Mark and Sam as the couple they would bring back. It makes sense because obviously they met on Australian Survivor, so sure. And I'm pleasantly happy to see them both back in very different ways.
I don't know them, but I know Mark is cute, and I was
like, oh yeah, and he's only gotten hotter since his first season, Lana.
That's what I wrote down on my notes for Mark. I was like, cute. He's cute, and I said, I see you, Sam. I understand why that was a thing, and you didn't really care that the distraction happened. I would have been just as distracted for Mark. He's a good looking man. He's a good looking man, and he just seemed like he really wants this. Like he really wants this redemption. He really wants this second chance because how the last season played out for him and for them, and the fact that they fell in love and met. I mean, that happens. That's life, and you can't be mad at love. I'm sure they're not mad at, or they don't regret a single moment of them meeting and falling in love and now having a family. But it's but in terms of the game, it's a lot of unfinished business because they didn't get to play how they wanted to play because they were too distracted by love and falling for each other. And in a game like Survivor, that is a big no-no. Power couples happen, so that's So I'm glad they get a second chance. But yes, that's a fun man, and I see you, Sam. I understand you, Sam.
She's stunning as well.
She's great. Yeah. I'm still not sure how I feel about her though in this game.
We'll talk about her game.
We'll talk about her game later. I just don't know how I feel about her in this game.
I'm with you on that.
But definitely Mark is cute, and I like him in this game as well. Too. But we'll talk about that too. Moving on to introducing people.
Yes. And the only other pairing that we really have to talk about that gets a highlight, and by highlight I mean a fucking helicopter entrance.
Okay,
y'all couldn't have been less dramatic.
It could have been Queen of Survivor herself. Like
Queen of Survivor, Sandra Diaz-Twine, and her daughter, Nina Diaz-Twine. You know, we love a helicopter entrance. I honestly wasn't mad at it. I really was not.
I wasn't mad at it, but I was like, put the target, make it even bigger for her.
Oh, yeah.
If you, like, just put a bullseye, neon bullseye on her back or their back right now, giving them the helicopter entrance after everybody is standing there like, who's that? Who's that? Who's that? I was just like, oh.
And there were definitely some people that knew exactly who Sandra was, and there were a few people who had no clue who Sandra was.
No clue.
And I loved the juxtaposition of that because, like, if you don't know who Sandra is, you're like, why does this woman get to enter on a helicopter? And then if you know, you're like, holy fuck, I get to be on the same season as Sandra.
Right.
Like, jealous.
It's
honestly.
Like, if you know, you know. It's definitely as if you know kind of situation. Yeah. And those who knew were like crapping their pants.
Well, and then Jonathan immediately is like, we have a 2-time winner in our midst. Right? And everyone's like,
Queen of Survivor. I was like, really, Jonathan?
I mean, to be fair, he did the same thing when Russell came on, even though Russell is 1/40th of a player that Sandra is. And a horrible human. But like that's beyond the fact. Like he did the same thing to Russell. That's why Russell went out second on his season.
As he should, but okay.
So but yes, so we got all 24 of our players, some mentioned, some not mentioned.
So let's talk about those not mentioned because I feel bad. There's okay. So let me be honest. Because I could not compare them up because they didn't mention them in the intros. I only know for sure 2 that I got correctly. I know, well, maybe 3 because I know Mel and Michelle.
Yes, the twins
are definitely sisters. Right,
they're twins.
Twins, right? Yep. And then there's Shay and Ben. They're another couple. Ben, hot. Shay, stunning.
Beautiful.
By the way, can I just say, stunning couple.
Absolutely.
I'm jealous. Look, watching them makes me go, F my life right now. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Right. Literally, like, oh God, help us all.
Right, like it's not fair. David and Brianna. The father-daughter. Got that right, period. Okay.
Yep.
And then, so I'm guessing this Jordan and Josh.
So there are a lot. So the difficulty here is we have 5 generically attractive men with J names on this season.
Yes. Jordan and Josh are attractive. Jordy and Jesse are attractive.
And then we have Jay, who is Alex's brother-in-law. Yes.
Yes. Yeah. I'm like, all these people, I don't even know.
And then Josh and Jordan are cousins as well.
Okay.
Who were we missing at this point? I have the cast up because I'm like, I can't.
We're not missing it. I think we said everybody.
Yeah, it is everybody. Yeah, it's mostly the generically looking men. What I will say about this cast, and it's something I've critiqued Australian television period on, is the lack of diversity.
Still needs work, but okay.
Still needs work, but what I will say, this is by far the most diverse Australian reality television show I've ever seen. And
that's though it is sad.
Not, it is very sad. It's very sad. It's incredibly difficult. Most of the people on are white, and I know that probably most people in Australia are white, but not everybody in Australia is white. So there's a lot more diversity here than there have been on previous seasons. It still needs to get better, but it's a step in the correct direction. Is what I will say.
If you count 6 out of 24 diverse.
1, 2, 3,
I think it's 6.
4, 5, 6, 7.
I mean, well, Sophie
If
is LGBTQ, so that's
I'm
another.
talking, I'm talking strictly at this point. I'm talking strictly racial.
Yes, so I'm thinking 6.
I had 7.
Okay, who am I missing? Let's see. Michelle and Mel.
Michelle and Mel, Amy and
Nina.
Con,
Amy and Con.
Sandra and Nina, and then Jordan, I believe.
Jordan is what?
I believe he's Maori. I could be wrong.
I mean, okay, because see, this is a thing, and I don't want to be sound effective because I know in Australia there are different races of like other kind of like some people do different tribes or different other races that I don't know of. Like I don't know what
the indigenous people,
right? Indigenous people. So I don't know what their names are, or if because I've been trying to figure that out. So if Australian people, please don't be offended. I'm not trying to be offensive. I just don't know. So I know because I know from a friend of ours, Dylan, who lets us know he is not white, that he is another indigenous culture, and which I respect and I understand that, and I'm like, yes. So tell me, put in the comments what other if somebody else is what other ethnicities they are, what they are, what the indigenous culture is, so I can learn. I want to learn. I want to be more. If I'm going to watch Australian Survivor, I want to get to know this stuff. Agreed. So I can be very much informed and educated on this, because I will educate you on stuff that I know. You educate me on things that I don't know. Thank you very much.
Just how, honestly, the pairing between the two of us works so well, because I educate you on the queer things, you educate me on the black things. So,
period.
Honestly, all 5 of us, yes, and women and non-binary things. We'll say that. And that's why our team works so well, because we have Sam, who's Filipino, Nathan, queer. Who's and queer, Nathan, who's queer and half Korean.
Asian, he was Asian descent. Yes,
half of Asian descent. I don't remember which one, Nathan. I'm so sorry. And Taja, who's black and queer and trans. So
biracial. She's black and white.
Yes.
So
all the things. We're great, and if you're not following us, do it.
You should.
Is what we're saying. Should. But please let us know if you are Australian. If you live down under. I hate that term, but it encompasses everything. It's so Americanized. I hate using it. But if you live in the Australia, New Zealand, Oceania area, let us know things, because we want to learn.
We want to.
But yes, so we end up shockingly, shock of the century. These pairings of family members don't get to stay together.
No, they don't play with each other. They play against each other.
Now, what I hate, I'm going to be honest, because these tribes are called Blood and Water. I hate that it's called Blood. I hate it.
Yeah. I don't think because it's, I don't like it.
I get it. Yeah. I don't like it.
Okay. What would you prefer it be called?
Anything else? I'm going to be referring to them as Red and Blue.
I do too. That's what I wrote down.
That's what I wrote down. I wrote it initially as Blood and Water, and I think in some of my notes I put Water Tribe, Blood Tribe, whatever. I just switched to Red and Blue by episode 2. So on the Red Tribe, we have Amy, Ben, Croc, David, Jay, Jesse, Jordan, Kate, Michelle, Sam, the Queen, and Sophie.
Oop, I got that mixed. I got Michelle and Mel mixed up, but that's okay.
I'm pretty sure
I have Mel on the book.
I don't remember. Is that what it is? I don't know.
It could be Mel.
We're gonna double check thank you, Fandom Wiki, as well. This is my once a season. Michelle is on the Red Tribe.
Period. Then I wrote it wrong.
Michelle is on the Red Tribe.
Good
Great.
to know.
And then Sophie as well. I think I meant.
Yes, you said.
And then on the Blue Tribe, we have Alex, Andy, Brianna, Chrissy, Jordy, Josh, Con, KJ, Mark, Mel, Nina, and Shay. So,
yep.
We'll learn more about them. But we start immediately with a reward.
Okay, so let's jump into this reward challenge. So the reward challenge was they pit the loved ones against each other. They had to slide down the slide, swim out to get the ring, grab the ring, and get back to their side and put one hand on the ring and one hand on the bar, and you had to fight and tussle and wrestle. Now, I found this funny because some of these pairs. I mean, okay, let's just go in the order. I'm just going to go in the order that they competed.
We have the same critiques. I already know.
So. Right. So Jordy and Jess went first, the brothers.
Yep.
And everybody, they're very excited because, brothers, sibling rivalry, that's a good thing. They go, they wrestle, they tussle, they fight. But overall, the winner is the older brother, Jordy. Jordy wins. Jordy takes it for the blue team. Great. Yes. Blue team wins.
I color-coded my notes for this reason because I knew I would forget. So,
you're so smart.
Yeah, I color-coded. I have to, when it comes to Survivor seasons, I have to color-code everything or else I forget everything.
Okay.
So,
you're smart. Yep. So next, KJ and Sophie goes the sisters, which great. Sure. That's how it's supposed to go. Brothers go, sisters go. Sure. And KJ and so Sophie, she is a beast. You could tell by the way she walked up there, and KJ looked a little intimidated. I think KJ already knew what was going down. And the winner, of course, was Sophie. They wrestled, they tussled. Sophie pulled KJ. KJ put up a little bit of a fight, but Sophie just pulled her right over to her side. Sophie wins. Next, Andy and Katie. See, this is where my fault lies. This is where
Same.
This is where the interesting for me walks in, because this physical challenge that you have, where they're supposed to wrestle a life ring away from somebody and take them to their, and you want Andy to do this with Katie.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely, yeah.
And so we say, okay, this is what we're going to do. And shocker of the century to no one, Andy wins.
I was annoyed by this.
I'm like,
couldn't
what?
Tell.
Yeah, because it continues to the next person while I'm still annoyed. I'm very much still annoyed.
But they had to balance it, Lana. They had to balance it this time. Because Andy was on the blue tribe. So now the next one.
Croc versus Christie.
Yeah.
Freaking Croc, who's a freaking rugby soccer player or football player.
Rugby.
I was like,
always
the first
one.
time.
If there are two things Australian Survivor has done every season, it's great intro and production and casting a rugby player.
Well, Croc is the
usually retired. Yeah, normally a man, sometimes a woman, but normally a man.
Well, we got Croc this time.
We sure did.
Big old rusted, rugged muscles for days.
Beefcake of a man.
Beefcake of a man against his sister-in-law, who knows nothing about this game, who has 3 children, who is not physically as okay, but we want to put Croc with Chrissy and tell her to wrestle away a life ring and drag a big old 200 some odd solid pounds of Croc all the way to a pole.
I don't know what your issue is with that, Lana, honestly.
My issue is very, very much out there and simple. She is a woman, god dog it. And that is a big old burly man. Ain't feminist is feminist, but we ain't asking, we just said we want some respect as women. We're not saying we want to wrestle with these big old burly men. Some women can do it, but Chrissy and Katie were not those women to do that. And to put them on that, to be like, y'all just go lose anyway, so just go on out there and do it. I just found that very much annoying. I don't like it when they do stuff like that in these physical competitions where women have to go against these men. This is like
same.
Okay, but whatever. We move. So at this point,
it's the final round.
What? Let me hold on. Jordy won from the blue team. Sophie wins from the red team. Andy wins from the blue team. Croc wins from the red team. So we're tied up. 2-2. And the next one's going to win. And who walks out there but the
Shocker.
queen herself, Miss Sandra Diaz-Twine, with their daughter Nina. Nina says, "Look here, if she is the queen, I am the princess, and I am the heir to the throne." I just love Nina, by the way. But
this is a Nina Stan podcast. We will be talking a lot about her.
Oh yeah. I'll show you my notes at the end of this. What I said, but Nina is ready. Sandra is ready. But this is what also annoyed me too. Jonathan, you're a good looking host, by the way, Jonathan.
We love Jonathan LaPaglia. We love Jonathan.
He's very good looking, but Jonathan talks too much for me.
We will discuss more about Jonathan talking too much. Don't you worry at all on.
We're going to discuss it. We're going to discuss a little bit right now because Jonathan, when Sandra walks up with Nina, he decides to say, "Oh, and Sandra, we know you hate competitions." I was like, "What? How you gonna put that out there for? What if she decided she don't hate competitions this season? What if she changed her whole gameplay up? You just gonna put out there, oh, Sandra, you hate competitions."
Here's what I would say. Across the board, I'm very excited to see Sandra Diaz-Twine competing in challenges. Because, he's not wrong.
We know that, but you don't know what strategy she came in with.
Right?
And so, you saying that is like, but maybe she could have came in like, I'm going to do a couple of them and then I'm going to stop because y'all know I hate them. And I'm going to make it look like I'm just taking one for the team. I'll sit out because we have more people. But she really just don't want to do these challenges, which I get. And so, but now you making it obvious that she hated. Now she gotta do it so she won't look like Chatria. I'm like, I just don't want to do it because I hate challenges. Because that's me. If anytime I can sit out of a challenge, I'm sitting out. I'll sit out every challenge I can sit out of. But okay, Jonathan, that was just that for me. I was like, dude, shush.
We'll talk more about Jonathan and talking too much during challenges.
Yes,
it's a running theme.
Okay, but so the Sandra and Nina go and they're wrestling, they tussling. Victorious comes out. The victory comes to Nina and the blue team and the blue team. So congratulations to the blue team. They win the reward, which is a fire pit back at camp. They don't have to make their own pick. They have a fire pit just waiting for them. So congratulations to the blue team for winning this beautiful fire pit, which is, by the way, very beautiful.
And Flint, I will say, and Flint.
Yes, they don't have to make their own fire. They could just go back and the pit was just roaring and ready for them.
I will say this was kind of abnormal for Australian Survivor. They normally start with like some sort of like shelter building kit. For the first reward, like day one reward. It's normally some sort of like shelter building situation. So I was pleasantly surprised to see something a little bit different. It kind of gives Blue a lot of an upper hand, honestly. But again, like it doesn't really seem like it's affecting the game as much.
And I think that's probably why.
Because this time, unlike certain seasons, Survivor 41, we're not taking Flint away from people.
Yeah. Like,
anyway.
I mean, but I feel like it's not. I think that's probably why they changed it up a little bit this time because it's not like I feel like if you give one team shelter building kits or whatever, they definitely have a huge advantage because the other team won't build a shelter, maybe not even have their shelter built that night. You know what I'm saying? And they have this kit ready to go, and they can just like build their whole. Yeah. A comfortable night's rest is very much a big deal and key, but fire is also a big deal. And so I think it really gave an advantage, but not as big as shelter advantage.
Agreed. Also, I will say, I do love the new location that they're in, because last season was just in the Australian outback. This season, they are in Charters Towers in Queensland, which is a very lovely, beautiful location. In the past, they've done it internationally as well. They like Samoa. Wow. So they've done a lot of their seasons in Samoa. The last 2 seasons, obviously, because of COVID, they kept it domestic, which I do love as well, because Australia is a gorgeous country. So here for it. Just wanted to bring that up. Cool. And not a whole lot happens in between now and the first immunity challenge, honestly.
Yeah. I mean, it wasn't a lot. Well, I mean, something did happen. We get to everybody gets to their camps, doing their thing. So quickly, a clue for an immunity idol has been found.
Jesus.
And so this was crazy. So Shay finds this immunity idol clue.
Yep.
And she shares this with Brianna, who has become her bestie in day one. And, they share these moments. And so she finds this clue, which lets her know that the idol is at tribal council on the podium.
Yep.
But the clue also says that this is the one of 2 clues. So somebody else is going to find this clue, and it's going to be pandemonium if people decide to go for it. So they're excited. Shay is excited. Brianna's excited. I think Brianna's a little more excited than Shay, because Brianna's we'll talk about Brianna.
We will talk about Brianna.
So Shay finds it. And so now they're trying to figure out who has the second clue and all of this. And so as they're going throughout the day, and everybody's going throughout the day, who finds this second clue but the person who admittedly knows nothing about this game, don't even know what a tribal council is.
That's the moment she lost me. Because we're talking about Christie.
Christie finds the second clue.
That is the moment she lost me, because I'm all for going into a game knowing nothing. I'm all in on you if you're willing to learn. But she fully was like, am I even at tribal council? I don't think that's now. I'm at my tribe. And I'm like, girl, you are not that dumb. You are not that dumb. No, ma'am. We're not doing this today. But yeah, so Christie also has a copy of this clue.
I mean, I'm going to say, I've gone in games knowing nothing about the game. I have no idea how this game works. And if you don't watch Survivor, you would not know what the heck a tribal council is. I'm just saying, because if you never watched just an episode of Survivor in your entire life, even if your family is super fans, that doesn't mean you pay any attention to what they're talking about when they're talking about Survivor. So I can see going in not knowing and not understanding. Like we've seen even in Big Brother where people go in a game and not know what a veto is and not know what HOH is. And you're like, you ain't never even
We're on a celebrity season right now where no one knows what they're doing.
And you're like, you haven't even watched a single season. So yeah, I'm like, Chrissy girl, you ain't even watched a little bit of Survivor, like at least an episode to know what a tribal council is.
Well, I was even going to say, even if she hasn't actually physically watched it, I feel like Croc probably, at the very least, someone had to have told her the basics of the game.
Yeah, I would feel that. I feel like I wouldn't bring on somebody who is totally clueless about everything in the game, don't know nothing, and don't tell her anything.
Yeah, he had to have clued her in.
He had to have told her something. But you know what? Whatever. I don't know. But she didn't know what tribal council was, but she figured she wasn't at tribal council. So at least she was smart enough to realize I'm not at tribal council now because I'm with my tribe. So this isn't tribal council. We'll figure it out. And so she figures it out when she sees, when they get to the immunity challenge and Jonathan tells them that whoever loses this challenge will go to tribal council.
Yeah.
But let's talk about this immunity challenge. Just going in.
I had two things to bring up before that.
Okay.
From like the first 2 days of things. The first one is I wrote down what Andy said in confessional his strategy was. And he said his strategy was one word, Mike Tyson.
Uh-huh.
And the last time I checked, Lana, I just want to get your clarification on this. Mike Tyson is 2 words, right?
Yeah. And okay, it's a person.
Great. I just wanted to get that clarification before we move on.
And his strategy is Mike Tyson?
Yeah, his strategy is one word, Mike Tyson. So I just need some clarification on that before we move along. I will also say, other than Croc, my like eye candies so far since we've been talking about it, it's Croc, it's Mark, it's Jordan, who barely has gotten any screen time, and I hope he does. And it's honestly Jesse. I think he's so cute. I don't know what it is, but I think he's so cute. We also find out Sophie is a good old lesbian. Come on, yes.
I love the fact that Sophie said, I did that thing. I got married, had kids, and was like, it didn't work out. And you know why? I found out I like women, and that's why I'm now happy and in love.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
and I was like, you know what, Sophie, period. And one thing I did say about Sophie, the one word I wrote about her, blunt. Sophie is blunt, and I love it. Like, she's no nonsense. Yep. She's not somebody who you want to mess with. She's not taking no nothing. I love it. I'm here for Sophie.
Yep. And in American Survivor, I don't think someone with the personality type that Sophie does would go over well. In Australian Survivor, I think she's going to do great.
Okay.
Because, like, just from the seasons that I've seen of Australian Survivor, the more blunt and straightforward people tend to be the people that that get people to align with them.
Mm-hmm.
Just from my experience of the Australian version, I hope she does well, because beyond just, the gay of it all, I really like her as a player so far. Mm-hmm. And we'll talk more about her. But I just wanted to bring up, we got her intro package. You talked about Shay. We got Shay's intro package.
Yes.
They like to do that as well, where they like nestle in different like intro packages for people that are important and you
I love that.
To. Absolutely.
I absolutely love that, because it gives me more. I feel like it gives me more of their backstory. And so I feel like I can get more in tune with the player. And I become, because like sometimes when we don't know anything about their story, and some people, like, if they go out early, like even with people who we've seen, it's like, and if they go out early, I still feel like I know them. I feel like I know who they are as a player, and I won't forget them. Like in American Survivor, when whoever's the first 2-3 boots, you forget about them.
I couldn't
don't even know their name until finale night, and then they come back. You're like, who's that? Yeah.
I couldn't tell you any of the pre-merge contestants from Survivor 41 other than JD and Jeannie.
Right.
That's like, I couldn't tell you any of the other ones. Sarah, was there a Sarah maybe?
I don't know.
No.
JD is the only one that made an impact to me.
Jeannie did as well, because gay.
Jeannie. Yeah, that's the other one. I couldn't think of her name. But see, there it is. I couldn't think of her name. And that's the thing. I feel like even the people who go out early in Australian Survivor, if they give them that promo pack, or they give us their backstory, there's going to be some of these people who will make the jury, and I won't remember their name until
that's guaranteed to happen. No, I can guarantee that will happen. They're also gonna pepper in these intro packages based on previous seasons. They're gonna pepper them in for the next couple of weeks.
Good.
So there will be, as people become more relevant in the game, you're going to get their intro packages, or at least one half of these pairings, because they're also very evident in their family members' intro package. Right. So, but yes, immunity challenge. It's a good old go over some obstacles, and then you get to throw some hammers to break hanging pots.
Yes, but before we even get into that, when the blue tribe walks in, we notice somebody is being carried almost in, which just happens to be Alex.
I like him.
I like him too. He's very cute. His little cute self. Look, I put my levels on how hot they are. To me, Alex is cute. Like Mark is fine, Croc is fine, Ben is fine, Alex is cute, but Jess is cute. But but Alex gets injured. Apparently, he did something to his back.
So they talked about he like bent over at one point and his back seized, which I've had that happen to me. So I've
had it happen to me too. Like literally, it happened to me a week ago. So
it's typically a sign of dehydration, I will say as well. Like that's at least when I've had it happen to me, that's what it's been. So I don't know if that was the case, but
so I don't know, but he hurt his back and he's getting carried in, so he can't compete in the challenge. And it was like the blue team was already like, ugh, man, down. But we go on. But they struggle. They struggled. They struggled a lot.
Yeah, you explain this immunity challenge. I'm gonna you do the explaining.
I mean, they go through the obstacles. They go through, all the different over-unders and through the woods or whatever. And they have to take the hammers and throw it to knock either the blue paint or the red paint off of the swinging thingies. Look, it's a typical challenge. We've seen challenges like this before. And it was a struggle for them. It was a struggle because they were down a man. And so much of a struggle, but the red team wins the immunity idol pretty much easily because they just were struggling. The blue team was struggling. And so it was that red team wins.
Yep.
They're excited. Blue team is on their way to tribal. So we get back to tribal. We get back to the tribes. Yep. And the water team or blue team is discussing who should go. Of course, everybody's, a lot of people, not a lot. Well, some people, Andy is saying Alex. Andy is saying Alex should go because Alex is injured. It's the general consensus. Everybody saying he should definitely do that. And then Shay and Brianna is considering using the idol on Alex to get out Christie instead. Now, this was interesting to me because I'm like, why are we going after Christie? And they were like, Brianna was like, well, Christie was the one who had to stop for a lot. Christie struggled a lot in the challenge, and I feel like we need to keep Strive strong. And okay, I guess that's a reason. Sure. Yeah. And so they were planning on using the idol that they don't have yet, but they were just sure they were going to get it. And they were going to use it on Alex to get Christie out. Yep. And so
these two plans are happening.
And then
Miss Nina Diaz-Twine comes in and says,
the heir to the throne says, you know what?
No.
I don't think we should do that. No. Nina says, she goes to Mark and said, we should switch the vote to Andy because I feel like Andy is doing too much because Andy took over the shelter. Andy was barking orders and telling folks what to do. Mark, who has survival training from the military, was like
literally in the Australian army.
Right. Literally the special ops of the Australian.
Well, and the thing is, this is what I appreciate about Mark specifically because I've watched his previous season. That's what he did on his first season. He was the alpha, building the things, taking charge day one, and that's what fucked him over in the end.
So Mark learns his lesson.
Mark learned his lesson and very early, and I appreciated that out of him.
And Mark was like, I'm going to sit back. I'm going to let you do it. And he did. He was like, I'm going to take these orders and we're going to do it your way. And so Nina goes to Mark to switch the vote to Andy. Mark is all about that. He's like, I'm on board. Let's do it. Let's see who else we can get. Who walks over but Jordy? Jordy walks over and Jordy agrees to this plan to get Andy. And they're like, but we will tell Andy we're going for Alex. We just need to tell the right people to go for Andy instead. And then so this is what was beautiful to me. Okay. This is where I got excited. I've never been this excited about a Survivor in my life, but this is where I got excited because I love good gameplay and I love watching a plan come together. And this is where it came together for me. Nina set this plan in motion, said, this is what I think we should do. And we need to make it happen. And she told Mark and Jordy, you go and spread the word around. I'm not going to say nothing. Y'all, I mean, she ain't tell them exactly that, but this is really what was going on in her head too, I think. Y'all two be my puppets and minions. Go spread the word. And if the plan comes back and falls apart, it ain't going to come back on me. It's going to come back on y'all. And so I'm just going to sit here and I'm going to tell my people who I'm really close to, who I feel connected to, like, I think we should do Andy. Like she told Michelle. No, Mel. She told Mel.
So this was one of the formative moments for me that I wrote down and I like starred and like underlined. I was like, this is something that's probably going to be important. Nina in this moment aligns herself with KJ and Mel, which I think is an incredibly strong group. And then Nina also has Mark, which I think is such a beautiful pairing.
Love it so much.
Like the two of them together, I love, and I never would have expected, but I love them. And plus Jordy as well, adding in the Jordy factor.
Yes,
I really like that as well. But yeah, so they
formed a really good group of people to form an alliance with, and I loved it. So they make the plan. They say we're gonna do this. Andy still thinks it's him. Alex kind of feel like it might be him, but you know he has heard the other plan, but he's still like, I don't know. It's easy. I've been injured. I don't know if everybody's gonna do this. Brianna and Shay are still going with their Christie plan in their head for some reason. I don't know. I feel like it's more Brianna than it is Shay, but that's the plan that they want. So we go to tribal council. And by the way, can I just say, I adore their tribal council set.
Right.
I love it.
Right.
I said, I like their tribal council set.
It makes me so happy that you like Australian Survivor because I was nervous. Because I will tell y'all, the last time I suggested a show to Lana, it was Queen of the Universe. And those of us that watched, know how that ended.
Yeah, I watched one episode and was done.
I finished the season and it was not great. But I'm so happy that you're loving Australia, by the way.
Yeah, I'm living. Like, this is me, and I know we said we were going to try to move this along. There's no moving along, I assume. Because, I'm looking at my computer charger. But it's fine. I love their set. It looks so open. It looks so cute. It's just really cute. I mean, and I like U.S. Survivor sets, but maybe I'm so used to seeing U.S. Survivor sets that it doesn't excite me every year.
41 of them.
And but I've seen this one for the first time, and I'm like, this is nice. I really like this set. And so they get in tribal council, and they're sitting down. And Jonathan, he's so good looking. That man.
Have you seen him without a shirt on yet?
No, we'll discuss that another time because I don't think I can handle that right now.
I'll send you something after we record.
Period. So tribal council starts. Jonathan starts talking, and you can see between Christie and Brianna, the little
Shay.
It should have been Brianna, not even Brianna. It should have been Shay and Christie, I should have said, but then Brianna also.
They cut between the three of them, and then
you can see their little beady eyes just looking. They all looking.
In the background, JLP is asking Alex about like his injury or whatever, and then
wait, don't just jump into that.
No,
don't just jump into that because you got to do the build up. It was like Shay looked and she's looking. Brianna looks and she's looking. Chrissy looks and Chrissy's looking and they looking and they looking. Now all in out of all the looking that's going on, Jonathan's trying to act like he don't know what they're looking at, or he's just trying to ask questions like it's simple. And Alex is just talking about his injury, like you said, and everybody's just like, yeah, tribal council sucks. We're here. We lost. We didn't want to be there. All of a sudden, oh my God, pandemonium breaks out, Logan. Pandemonium.
Literally.
Christie jumps up and Brianna is trying to do the she thinks she's a football player, a defensive linebacker, and she's trying to block Christie from running to this podium.
And then
Christie just pushes her out the way, and Shay jumps up, and she running. Now they running.
She can't find it.
They don't know where it is. Christie is honed in on it. She saw it, and she honed in. And Shay runs, and she's looking around. She can't find it. Christie said,
Brianna's like, it's on the front. And then Christie
said, yoink.
Oh my God. I literally had to. No, I need. In my notes, all caps, I wrote, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Followed by all caps, Chrissy just dove for this idol. What the fuck? That was. I have never seen a first tribal council this impactful in my life.
When I tell you, I watched this episode and it was 1:00 in the morning. People were sleeping, and this happened. I literally had to cover my mouth my face with a pillow to stop from screaming. I was like, "Oh my God, what is happening? What is happening?" I laughed so much. It was the funniest thing I've ever seen in my entire life. But it was perfect. It was perfect. Pure perfection. And I loved every second of it. And so...
And then
I'm about to say, and it's not even over. Because Jonathan is like, what just happened? I'm like...
What just happened? Oh, I'm sorry. I can't do an Australian accent.
No, don't do it.
Australian accent. What just happened?
I was like, and then like, somebody just got an idol.
And she's like, I sure did. And I'm like, you don't know how to what?
But see, this is the thing. I feel like anybody who would have gotten that idol that way, they had to play it that night. Because I don't care if it's on... you can't keep that.
I don't care if you're playing this idol on Jonathan himself.
You're not gotta play it tonight.
Oh yeah,
because you can't have that going back to nope. You're the next target if you keep that.
Well, okay. Australia is weird because last season there was a 3 or 4 episodes span where one specific person, I won't say who because I want you to watch the season because it's actually pretty good. But one specific person has an idol and they basically dangle it in front of everyone like a carrot for 4 episodes and then they finally use it. So Australia has a weird thing of using idols as decoy things more so than American Survivor does.
I'll say that would never fly in America. You get that idol in front of everybody, you better use it today or you're going to be the next target. Period. But yeah, so she's like, somebody's got an idol. And it's like, I'm like, somebody. She's like, I sure do. Right. I was like, okay. We go on with tribal. And still, people are pushing the same agenda that they were pushing back in.
No one's changed.
Nobody's changed their minds about anything. Nope. Andy was pushing for Alex. Alex was like, I get it. I hope that's not the case. I understand it. Because I'm injured.
And then
Brianna goes on this rant, this tangent about Chrissy.
Against the woman who has a publicly known idol
in her hand. But she wants Christie to go.
Huh.
I was like,
Miss Brianna, you say you're a super fan?
a super fan of what?
Where?
Not of this show.
No.
Apparently not of this show. Because
No.
I'm like, you will go against the person who has the idol that you just publicly tried to block from getting, and she got it. And now I can see trying to make her use it, flush it, whatever, but I feel like that was going to happen regardless. Yeah. If she was going to use it on her or somebody else, it was going to get used regardless. But to do that when you know this person is going to be safe and coming back, it was kind of like the dumbest move I've ever seen. But it was just a smidge dumb. But yeah.
I think the dumbest thing is having 3 women die for an idol in the beginning of Tribal Council. I mean, personally, but
so yeah.
3 people. It's not because they're women. It's because they all did it. I want to clarify that.
Okay.
Because they all did it. It's not because they're women. Let me clarify. 3 people. Anyway.
We go on to the votes. I mean, they do all this talking, blah, 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 blah. Jonathan says it's time for votes. So we go to the votes, and this was an interesting vote, but by a vote of 9-2 to 1, after Christie played an idol on herself.
And received 0 votes.
0 votes on Christie. Even from the person who was pushing Christie didn't even vote. Andy is voted out.
Andy, bye.
9-2 to 1. It was a blindside. He had no idea. He did not see it coming. Queen, the heir to the throne, Nina, that's what I'm going to call her from this point on.
Heir to the throne, sure.
The heir to the throne, Nina, made that happen. She came up with the plan. She struck that plan out there, and they took it and ran with it. I mean, 9-2 to 1.
And I wrote down the votes. I don't know if you did, but I did.
No, you go ahead.
Cool. So there was 1 vote for Brianna, and that came from Alex, because I guess he didn't know better. There were 2 votes on Alex, and that was from Andy and Josh.
Mm-hmm.
And everybody else voted for Andy.
Uh-huh.
So.
Yeah. So, yeah. He was blindsided. He was very much not believing that happened. Yep. And, yeah. So, my personal take on this, I wrote my own personal takes.
Mm-hmm.
Not a fan of Brianna.
Yeah, no.
She took the power that Shay found and tried to take over it, and I didn't like that.
We'll talk about Brianna taking over more power.
Well, yeah, of course. I didn't like that. Love Princess Nina, all caps. Wrote that down, all caps. Love her so much. She is definitely playing the best game and leading the conversations, and people are listening to her.
Yep.
And I just found that to be like, if she continues on this path, I can see great things from her. Yes. But I hope people don't catch on to her too quickly. Yep. But she's playing an amazing game. And Mark is fine. That was my last note.
I hate you.
Sorry.
All right. Episode 2. An hour in.
Timestamp this. 1-3-24.
No, there's gonna be timestamps. Don't worry. That's why I kept the Andy banner up so long, because I'm like, once that's gone, I know that there's episode 2.
Yeah, episode 2. Period. Yes. Episode 2 was great too. I actually enjoyed it. So we start off with Shay teaching yoga on the Red Tribe, and just to bond with the tribe and make her feel less anxious. She says she feels very anxious. And so she wants to teach this yoga class just to center herself and center everyone.
And then Chrissy is in confessional talking about, I wanted to see if you got the same vibe from this, because I was confused. Chrissy talks about how she wants to cut Shay's hair with the machete.
I found that a little harsh.
A little?
Mean.
Yeah.
I was like, I don't get it. Because, like, honestly, Shay wasn't the one pushing her.
No.
Not out loud, not publicly, not at tribal council.
Nope.
And so it confused me.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah. Other than that, pre-reward challenge, it's hot, and everyone's talking about how it's hot. The red tribe is like, oh my god, we haven't made fire. Cut to 5 seconds later, we made fire. And then we also see over at the blue tribe, part of their shelter collapses.
Yeah.
And I was like, huh? Okay. Sure. Cool. Fabulous. Great. Beautiful. All of the adjectives. And so, we also get Brianna's good old intro package because Brianna is now relevant. So Brianna gets her intro package. She's a rainbow-wearing warrior woman with her dad who knows nothing about the game. Christie is annoyed at Brianna for calling her out. Yeah. Sure. Okay. So reward challenge. It's time for a reward challenge. So this is played in pairs. You have to climb up the cargo net and grab a flag, like jump off the ledge and grab a flag. You could choose whether you wanted to play offense or defense in this situation. I'll talk about who did what. And because the red tribe has one extra player, Sam is sitting out the challenge. So we go to round 1. And it is Jesse and Croc versus Mark and Con. Con kind of beasted this whole challenge. Is pretty much where it was at. Con beasted through. Mark was kind of playing defense a little bit. I was very happy to see all 4 of these men without shirts on because it was real nice. It was very nice. And Mark and Con score the point for the blue tribe. We then get round 2, which is all women. And we see Kate and Sophie versus Nina and Brianna. And Nina kind of slays this as well. Sophie's playing some good defense, but Nina ends up scoring for the blue tribe as well. We get to round 3, and it is Amy and Sandra versus Chrissy and Shay. Chrissy kind of has Sandra like locked up a little bit, trying to get Amy down. Amy's trying to play offense. Shay's trying to play offense. But Shay ends up making it up the rope ladder net, whatever. The words. And so they score for the blue tribe. And at this point, blue tribe only needs 1 more point. And then it's round 4, and we see David and Michelle take on Con and KJ. And this was intense. We see, Michelle trying to deflect KJ. We see David trying to deflect Con. KJ is trying to pull David off of Con. And it's a whole lot. It's a whole lot happens. Con ends up beasting again, and in a resounding victory, the blue tribe wins the reward challenge. Now, their reward win is it's a fishing gear and blankets and tarps and all of that stuff. And so Jonathan, in yet another instance of mentioning that, in case you didn't know, this is blood versus water. In case you didn't know, blood versus water. There's blood and there's water, in case you didn't know. Decides to offer the blue tribe a sharing is caring situation, which they end up doing because they know that the red tribe's been struggling a little bit. So they end up keeping the reward of their choice, which they keep the fishing gear. Absolutely. And they gave the red tribe the blankets and the tarps, which I thought was lovely and beautiful and wonderful and great and good. And all of those adjectives used to describe this circumstance. And yeah, that's the reward. Not much happens. And then Oh, the only other thing really is Kate being upset about Kate being all kinds of upset that Andy was voted out. She's distraught. She is not okay. Kind of bogs down the rest of her game. We'll talk about it. So we go to the Red Tribe. After the reward, Kate is upset about Andy being voted out, obviously. And Sam says that Kate is probably a really dangerous player because, you know, she's connected to Andy. Andy is a decent player of Survivor. And then we get Sam's intro package, which we kind of touched on a little bit earlier when we talked about Mark and Sam as a duo. You know, she kind of got distracted her last time around. She's in a better headspace now. They do some shady editing up in here because Croc asks Sandra about like the idea of paranoia in the game. And Sandra's like, well, paranoia hits sometimes, and sometimes it's early. And they do these shady cuts to Sam because she got paranoid on her last season, and that's what did her in. But yeah, and there was a throwaway line that I noted that was super important, and it's a moment where Sophie is talking to Sam and Amy, saying that Croc can't come to merge. It's a very throwaway line in the middle of a bunch of hullabaloo. But Sophie says that Croc can't come to merge, which keep that in mind moving forward. We also see the Blue Tribe. They get their fishing reward, and as soon as they get back to camp, Miss Brianna decides she's gonna hog the fishing box. Not even subtly, not trying to do any bit of subtlety whatsoever. And she is hogging this tackle box that they won in the reward. I'm talking about Brianna hogging the tackle box. That's where we're at.
I came back at the perfect time then.
You did, yeah. I went through, all I did was the reward and the blue
I heard you.
Yeah, okay, cool.
I heard.
Fabulous. Yeah.
Which was great.
Miss Brianna and this damn tackle box, Lana.
Let me see. Yeah. The whole looking through the tackle box, because apparently on Survivor Australia they usually put
they've done it.
The idle clues and things like that before, which is great. But she showed no couth, no tact, no anything. Like, she was like, look, what I did at Tribal put a target on my back. So I have to find this idol. I have to find it. And so she got back to camp and was like, I don't care what y'all look. I'm looking. Now, some people might find that, refreshing. Like, she didn't care. Not me. And nobody on her tribe did either. They were like, you are just going to feverishly look for this idol while we all standing here looking at you, looking through this tackle box like a crazy person. And not even like, I would have made it not look to try to not look like I'm looking for the idol, but like, oh, what do we have? Like, oh my gosh, you guys, I've seen tackle boxes before. Like, my dad, I make up a story. Like, my dad's a big fish. Oh yeah. My dad's a big fishing person. My grandfather loved fishing, and he was very meticulous about his tackle box. So I want to make sure, like, if he was just super anal about his tackle box, or is everybody's tackle box like this? And I would have been looking like, oh, yep, he did that. He put his thing right there.
Absolutely.
And as I look, like, make up a story.
None of these people know David either. Like,
right. Like, come up with something like, my dad or my grandfather loved fishing. And I want to see if he was, because he used to never let us touch his tackle box. But he always had certain places for everything. And I wonder if every tackle box is like that. And so I'm like, oh, yep, look at this. Just like my grandfather would do it. Yep. And as I look, I would have pulled out things like, oh, I've never seen this before. He never had this. And just keep going. But just don't make it so obvious. She just made it so obvious that she was looking for the clue or looking for an idol. And it was just like, oh, girl, you already made an ass out of yourself at Tribal. and now you're doing it again in front of everybody. That's just it's so lame. But then okay, because doing that, then not only everybody's talking about how oh wait no, let's go back. So let's move on to the red tribe, because the red side had their own little things of whatever they was talking about, because they started talking about paranoia. And how everybody's paranoid. And this is where Sam comes in for me. And this is why I don't know how I feel about Sam.
Sure.
Yeah.
I figured this was the moment. I talked about, I just did like the Cliff's notes, if you will, whatever. But yeah.
Go right because ahead. Like Sam, she was talking about how she's focused this time around because she has her family, so she's not going to make the same mistake as last time. But she was talking about paranoia and getting everybody super, super paranoid about paranoia. Like, she was making people paranoid by talking about being paranoid, which I was just like, okay. Mm-hmm. And it was just interesting. Yeah. That was just a little note that I picked up from the Red Tribe and what they were doing and what they were talking about. And Sandra was just being Sandra, was like, paranoia happens. It's in every game. Like, I appreciate this about Sandra in this season because Sandra knows. Sandra's not stupid. Sandra knows the target on her is huge. It's major.
Massive target.
Neon green, red, and blue symbol right above her head to say a Queen of Survivor right here. Like, she knows that. But she's like, all I'm trying to do is fade away, fit in, and, do my part. Like, Sandra has not sat out any competition thus far.
Oh, in our review, yes.
In this review, thus far, she has not sat out any competition. She's played them all, and she's done what she needed to try to fit in with the group. She even told Jesse, who was fangirling about her, like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a fan out." It was cute. She was like, "I'm just a person. Just love playing this game. And really, honestly, she is. She's just a person who loves to play this game. And
she just happens to have done very well
in the game.
All 4 of her previous seasons.
Right. And it's like, you've done well. And yes, I understand she is definitely the Queen of Survivor. She earned that title. She deserves it. But it's like, honestly, I personally wouldn't target her right away because I'm like, look, I want to learn everything I can that she's willing to teach me and tell me about Survivor. And when the time is right, and there will be a time, because this is the thing. Sandra is not the competition beast or threat of any season she's ever played on. Nope. So there have been times people could vote out Sandra. They just didn't. And they got scared and chose not to.
And then sometimes you use Sandra's idol that she gave you against her and you vote her out.
Right. You can vote Sandra out of a game. You just have to pick the right moment to do it. Mm-hmm. And I feel like, number one, this is still a TV show as well as a game. The ratings are there because people want to watch Sandra Diaz-Twine play Survivor Australia. This is why people are tuning in. This is why I chose to watch this season, because I wanted to see how Sandra did in Australian Survivor, if she could pull off the impossible and do it again. So if I'm on the same show with Sandra Diaz-Twine, I'm not trying to kick her out of the tribe early now, so the viewership can go down. Ain't nobody trying to watch. Ain't nobody checking for me, newbie Lana, just walking in, who don't know nothing about nothing, who ain't never been on nobody's Australian or United States TV screens ever. Ain't nobody checking for me. They checking for Sandra. So I'm gonna be checking for Sandra for as long as I need to check for Sandra. But then when it comes down to like maybe pre-merge or maybe right after merge, He might have to get rid of Sandra.
Like juror number one.
Maybe she gotta go. But that's after I sit and talk to Sandra. I learn things from Sandra.
I see what her perspective of the tribe is. That would be my biggest thing. Is I want to see what Sandra sees, because what Sandra's seeing is probably not what I'm seeing. So
because Sandra knows what else to look for besides who's talking to who. Who's, Sandra knows other things to look for because she's done it twice in one. So I want to know what Sandra, like you said, what Sandra
4 times
sees.
overall. This is her 5th season.
So like, what does Sandra see and what does Sandra know? So I'm not gonna get rid of. And so those people who are, I don't know.
I think it was Sophie at some point. I don't know if it was at this point, but I know at some point Sophie said basically what we just said. Like, I want to keep Sandra around. I want to learn from Sandra, but there's going to come a moment where I need to do everything I can to get Sandra out, because otherwise she's going to win a 3rd time.
Exactly. And that's smart. I think that's smart.
And I'm going to be very honest. I love Sandra. She's one of my favorite players of all time. I don't think she has a shot in hell of winning this season of Australian Survivor.
No.
Nevertheless, I'm very excited to see what happens. And if they vote her out, I'm excited to see how they do it.
Yes.
Because that's going to be entertaining.
Exactly.
Speaking of entertaining, the one thing in the reward that I thought you might like is the fact that we had Jesse, Croc, Mark, and Con all in very little clothing in the water, wrestling all over each other at one point.
I mean, I was here for Mark and Croc. Look, I'm just going to be honest.
I think Con is really hot too.
Con doesn't do it for me.
There's something about Con for me that I'm just like, oh hi.
Yeah. I mean, he's cute. I'm not going to take it away. And
he's one of us too. So like,
overall, this is a hot cast. Overall, the men on this cast are pretty good looking men.
Lana,
even David is kind of fine. I'm like,
even without a shirt on, I was like, hi.
These men are good looking men.
And I'll clue you in, Lana. Every season of Australian Survivor has been that way.
Okay, cool. Good to know. I mean, I just said these are very good looking men, attractive women, and this is a good looking cast of people. Not taken away from that at all. Yes. I did enjoy seeing Mark and Croc just wrestle around and just grab on and just. I was there for that. That.
So can we let's dive into this immunity challenge, because I have things to discuss about what goes on in this immunity challenge.
Please talk.
So the challenge itself, we see Sophie sitting out this challenge. Just for reference, you have to drag some barrels over some hurdles and then over obstacles to get to the top of a tower, and you use barrels to knock vases off of targets. Right. This is very much so pieces of other Survivor competitions put together in a new and different way that I really liked, actually. My problem is not with the challenge or what happens in the challenge. My problem is with fucking Jonathan LaPaglia. This was the moment where I wrote all caps, I need JLP to stop saying that the difficulty of blood versus water is sending your loved ones to tribal council. And I swear to God, if he says this in every immunity challenge for the rest of the season, I'm still going to be annoyed.
He's going to say it.
In case you needed to know, Lana, this is blood versus water. There's blood and there's water. In case you weren't aware.
He's going to say this in every, because he's, I feel like he doesn't have much else to say. His script is kind of like, they don't give him, I don't know. Maybe he's not creative enough to come up with other things to say, or the writers aren't that as creative, but like, we get it.
Then just pull a Jeff Probst and be like, you're an old woman and you're doing this.
Right. That it's just like, it's just so like, I get it. If I was in that, I'm like, Jonathan, I get it. If we
I would fully look over and be like, shut up.
Like, we get it. If we win, our loved one is in danger. I got it. But guess what? I'm gonna win.
Wait. If we win immunity, our loved ones go to tribal. What?
Stop the presses. Hold on. I didn't know that was part of the deal. Wait. It's enough. It's enough.
Nonsense.
It's
anyway.
Enough. But yeah, they go and they're, this is what annoyed me about this challenge too, though. It was about the challenge. I did not agree with the fact that if you use all of your barrels, you have to get all 6 barrels back up to the top to start again. Like, that's ridiculous. Like,
I would have done 3. I
feel like at that point, get a barrel up there and let me swing it. Why do I have to get all it? Just one of us is swinging, rest of them can get the barrels up. Why do I have to wait till all the barrels are up to start swinging? I didn't agree with that. I didn't like it, but it is the rules. Them be the rules, and they had to follow those rules. After a hard-fought immunity competition, Red came from behind to win. Let me just say, Blue was straight murdering this challenge. Murking this challenge. They were ahead so far ahead of Red. So far. And it was just like, it was that whole gotta get 6 barrels back up that cost them this win. Because they used all of their barrels and they had 1 left. Red came up and was bam and just knocked it out the park. And just came from behind to win. And so Red again is safe. Blue again is going back to Tribal Council for another time.
Yep, they sure are. But before we get there,
let's talk about the camp life and the Blue Tribe.
Let's talk about Shay finding a metal pole.
Oh, wait.
I didn't have anything else really other than
that.
The vote is between Christie and Bree, is basically.
Because Christie is going for Brianna, and Brianna, of course, is going for Christie. And Brianna tries to talk to Christie in one of the most awkward conversations.
It was horrible.
I've ever seen in my entire life. It was the most awkward thing I've ever seen. Brianna stumps up to Christie while she's in the water. Christie looking at her like, B, why are you coming over to talk to me? And she like, we need to talk. And Christie like, okay, right.
Basically, without saying it, it's like, we do.
We do. All right.
Okay.
And so Christie is, I don't know what she's doing. If she's washing something or she's just fiddling around with this leaf. She's just like, what you want to talk about? And Brianna's like, I know what it looks like in Tribal. I didn't mean to. I kind of, and Christie's like, you did what you did. And I'm like,
literally, shut her down.
Like, literally, this is the conversation I saw in my head. Okay. It might not be it's definitely not what they said. No. It's just what I saw. Christie. What?
I think, we should talk about.
I think, you did what you did, and so I'm gonna do what I'm gonna do, and you do what you go do, and then we'll figure it out, and we'll see who come out on top. Okay, bye.
Okay.
Like, literally,
I love us. Look at our little acting moment.
This is like, look, I was prepared to do both for you.
I know. I was like, oh, she's taking Christie. Okay, I'll take Brianna.
No, I was prepared to do both Christie and Brianna. I was ready to be like,
sorry.
No, it's like, Christie, what? Brianna. I think we should talk about this. I didn't want to. No. What we're not going to do.
I should have let you do it.
What you did to me at Tribal Council was foul. I mean, but I had my reasons. I don't care. Well, what are you going to do? I'm going to do what I'm going to do, and you're going to do what you're going to do. Just know I'm coming for you, and I know you're coming for. But I'm not. I think we can make it. I don't want to hear it. Bye.
I should have let you do it by yourself. Shit.
It's okay. It's okay. I just did it.
And then by happenstance, this is another bullshit thing.
Okay, because Shay is like, I don't even
understand. No. They plant these idols, guaranteed.
Of course. Yes. It looks so like where nobody else saw this metal pole just laying in the sand. They just happened to find a long 10-foot metal pole laying in the sand. After Brianna tells her, you should go find an idol. We should go find an idol. Shay goes, find this idol. Brianna. Oh, Brianna.
Because then, oh my God.
It's okay. They go and they find this thing in front of Khan and
No.
Who else was there?
No, I wrote it down. So it's a group of, so everyone back at campus like, where'd Shay go?
Right.
And so it's a group of Bree, Khan, Nina, and Jordy. I made sure to write it down.
Good.
Because then, Brianna in this group is walking the direction that Shay is, and is like audibly to the group without any sort of like hesitation is like, I think she found an idol. And I'm like, girl. And then Shay gets this idol with Brianna's help in front of Khan and Nina and Jordy. But then we see Khan come through and he's like, I know what I need to do. So he ends up narrating this whole scene. So Shay gets the thing down. He grabs the idol and hands it directly to Shay instead of Brianna. Which
is the right thing to do because it was Shay's idol. Shay found it. Shay should get it. But Brianna, I would have 100% was 100% trying to take that idol.
Oh, yeah.
And she was going to get it and grab it and go. And Khan was like, she was going to take this from you. This is yours.
This doesn't happen. Yeah.
And it was like, you don't have to use it on her.
Mm-hmm.
And Shay was like, yeah, I know. See, Shay seems very out of her element in these like in her element, but out of her element. Like she's
in her element as far as the in the survivor aspect.
Yes.
But out of it as far as the game is concerned.
Exactly. Yeah. Like she is killing the survival aspect of this game. She's surviving, she's finding idols, she's killing that. But she doesn't know how to play the game. And she's like she said it herself in her package. She was completely coming here expecting to play with Ben.
Yes.
She was 100% ready to play with Ben, and they had game plans there. Being separated from Ben totally took her out of her element. She is lost. I think Ben is the brains as well as LeBron in the survivor aspect of it. And so he knows the game. So he would play he would know the strategy of it all. And she just was not in it. And so I think now she's starting to see this. And when Khan did what Khan did, it made her realize like, oh, now I have this power and I need to figure out the best way to play it for me, not for other people. But on the flip side, her human side is like, but Brianna's my bestie. We've been looking out for each other since we got here 3 days ago or 2 days ago. And
it was day 5 at this point.
Oh, well, 5 days ago, blah, blah, blah. So she's like, we've been looking out for each other this week and da-da-da. And it will be, I don't want to do this, but she's listening and hearing where the tribe is going and what the tribe is thinking. And it's like, I have a decision to make. So that's where we leave going to tribal council with Shay saying, I have a decision to make tonight and I don't know what I'm going to do.
And that also pretty much dominates all of tribal council. This is incredibly boring. Nothing really happens. It's
a lot of questions. Christie. A lot of questions. You could see
what's gonna happen.
This was the funniest part to me because this is what I gathered from watching Tribal Council. I watched them walk into Tribal Council and certain people, Brianna, had a very confident air about herself when she sat down. And she was very confident about where this was going, how this vote was going to happen. And she felt very confident about everything. And as the questions continue to happen and the conversations continue to happen, you can see the deflation of the confidence in Brianna. It was like, she started off like, oh, yes, and then it was like,
Oh.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Uh-huh.
The head started swiveling like, what are we gonna?
Mm-hmm.
Questions started to arise in her head, like,
Yep.
am I as safe as I thought I was? Am I not? And then the vote happened. And by a vote of 9-2.
With no idols played.
No idols played.
No.
No idols played at all. And when Jonathan asked about an idol, she quickly snapped her head to Shay, was like, and Shay looked and was like, and put her head down. It was like, nope.
Yep, 9-2.
9-2. Brianna was voted out of tribal council.
Now, Lana, I know that you don't know the vote. Do you know the vote breakdown?
I saw. No. Do you have that?
Okay, I do. Take a guess as to who, because obviously Brianna voted for Christie.
Of course.
Take a guess as to who the other vote for Christie was from.
Oh, that was from Mark. Oh, not Mark. Yeah. Yeah, that was from Mark. It came out of nowhere. And I was like,
I thought it was Shay.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be Shay too. Yep. But Shay voted for Brianna. And I was like, that's what I didn't write it down, but I surely remembered that. And I was like, why did Mark vote for
Oh, yeah. If there's one thing I always come with, it's the vote breakdowns, because I'm always curious, especially in the closer ones. Mm-hmm. I'm always curious about a vote breakdown. So
I couldn't understand why Mark voted, but I was like, whatever, it is what it is. But yeah, I did see that there was 9-2 and 2 votes were for Christie. But yeah, that was that.
Bye, Brianna.
Bye, Brianna. Episode 3.
Yes, ma'am.
So the Red Tribe is all fun and rejuvenated.
We're having a rap battle at the Red Tribe.
Right. They're just they breaking it down and jamming and baiting, and they were relaxed and it was funny. Sandra is not here for that. Sandra was not feeling the kumbaya of the tribe, this relaxing. She said she is going to plant, and she started planting these seeds, just little seeds that David needs to go if and when they go to tribal. That was what Sandra started that day doing, and was just like, just a little planting of the seeds here and there. We don't know what's going to happen. But on the flip side, David is also planting seeds for Sandra to go because of her threat level, and says she would be dangerous in the merge, especially if Nina is there too. So they need to plant these. They're both planting seeds about each other need to go. Sandra is just like, David he just seems like a fish out of water to her. She doesn't understand him. She's not feeling him. So he should go. And David, on the other hand, is saying Sandra is the same. She's such a threat. And so he's planting the seeds for Sandra to go. So you're muted, Mike.
The audacity of this man to target Sandra? No.
It's what he wants to do.
Smart as someone who doesn't know the game.
Because I would look, as far as threat levels go, Sandra is a huge threat. And if I was trying to get rid of threats early in the game, Sandra would be on the top of my list as well.
Yep.
But as a fan of Survivor, Sandra would not be on the top of my list personally. But that's just me. But that's what's happening. That's what we see from the Red Tribe. We see a lot of if and wins, which lets me further know what was going to happen in the episode, because I'm starting to catch on to this foolishness that they're doing in Survivor.
Yep.
I see what y'all doing, Survivor Australia. So I figured y'all out. But we go to the reward challenge.
We do.
We go to the reward challenge, and we find out that the reward is going to be they get to go to the Survivor shop. Yep. Whoever wins, and they're going to be able to pick out these things at the Survivor shop. Now, you can talk about what the actual challenge is, because I did not write down what that was.
Oh, good. So it was you had to have someone swim out, clip a rope onto a pontoon of sandbags, drag back. Yes. You do it again, drag, and then All you have to do is carry 70 sandbags up a hill and over and under some obstacles.
Yes. Ugh, sick.
They would not have had either one of us if we were on a winning tribe. If we were on a winning tribe, we would not be competing in this challenge. No, ma'am.
No. First of all, I would be the first person to beg to sit out of this challenge if I could. Yep, please sit me out. But yeah. Yep. So they do this pontoon, like you said, they do the pontoon, they drag it in, they throw the sandbags. This was so long. This was a huge, this was an endurance challenge that was just, ugh.
They always do an endurance style reward very early in the season. It always happens. It's a staple for Australian. I will say, this is the one challenge in this set of episodes we're watching that Sandra Diaz-Twine set out of.
Yes, this was the first one.
Sandra and Michelle sat out of this challenge.
Smart. I would have saw this challenge and I would have sat out too. And I feel like they pick and shoot, and she waited until it was her time. Everybody else did it and she didn't have. This was the one she was like, I'm not going to be running. So yeah, good. Yeah. But yeah, so they go and they do this and they are wearing themselves out. This is a lot of back and forth and over and under and carrying these heavy old sandbags. But in the end, the red team wins the challenge. They win the reward challenge. And this is what got funny to me. Okay. Oh, we jumped ahead. But David, seeing that Brianna was voted out, was very upset. And very annoyed.
This man said, I'm coming for every single one of you on that other tribe. And I'm like,
what? Okay.
I don't have a daughter, so I don't understand, but whatever.
I mean, I see, this is the thing. The whole thing with blood versus water, I get it, because you don't want to see your loved one gone.
Wait, it's blood versus water?
Yeah, I just found that out recently.
Oh my God.
I know. This was a well kept secret. They hardly ever talk about it.
I know.
Hardly ever talk about it. But yes, as a fact, it is blood versus water.
What?
And to see the loved one go probably hurts and stings a lot. But you also have to remember this is a game and somebody's going to go. Only one person's going to win this game. So it's a great chance that your loved one is not going to be there. Every chance you get is oof.
And this sets off a firestorm.
Yeah. So, yeah. So, after the red team wins, they were like, so Jonathan informs them that only one of you are going to be able to go shop in the Survivor shop. So, who's it going to be? This is where it got interesting to me. And this is where I was like, okay. So first everybody was like, what are we going to do? So Sandra says, I'll go.
Sure.
And they was first like, yeah, okay, Sandra's going to go. That's cool. I'm cool. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, to me, David goes, but I'll go. And somebody said, well, David just lost his loved one, so we should let David go.
I think it was Sophie.
Yeah. And I was like, but we just said Sandra.
Sandra literally raised her hand and Jonathan said Sandra. And then they were not doing Sandra.
They was like, oh no, David's going to go. Like, what? And so I was like, oh. And so right then I was like, oof, that's not going to sit well with Sandra Diaz-Twine.
Well, no, me. And if I was on a tribe with Sandra, I send Sandra because Sandra knows what to get.
Like, she sees what we're lacking at the camp and what we need, and she sees what she knows what to get. I would have definitely sent Sandra.
Absolutely.
But she said,
or even, who's the returner on her tribe? Is it Sam?
Sam. Yeah.
I would have even sent Sam.
Right. At least they know what to. It just didn't. I was saying you send somebody who doesn't watch the show.
Literally.
Who says they don't know nothing about this show.
Literally.
But okay. So David goes to go to the and so Jonathan announces that he shouldn't shop alone. That's miserable. You should take someone with you so you could pick someone from
the
other
Blue
tribe. And he chooses Khan to go with him, which I found hilarious because I'm like, Khan is the reason your loved one is gone.
Literally
the reason your loved one is gone. But okay.
Sure.
So they go to the camp. Oh, to the shop.
They sure do.
And they read the note that David has the option to share let Khan get one item and he takes two, but they can only get 3 total, or he can choose not to let Khan get anything. And David, being as petty as David wanted to be, says, I'm not going to give you anything. So you brought this man out there to tell him he's not getting anything to take back to his camp.
Yep.
Huh. Okay. But because he's angry, Brianna got voted out. So he wants to put the suspicion on to Khan. So he's going to try to make Khan the scapegoat for everything. He wants people to get mad at Khan and feel like he's being he's lying, that there's no way he went to the shop and came back with nothing. Mm-hmm. So that's the kind of that's what he's feeling like he's gonna do. As his quote was, I'm gonna unclip the grenade, which is Khan, and roll him back into camp.
Yep.
And let it blow up. And so he's like, okay, he's not gonna give him anything. But then they find the super idol.
They sure do.
2 pieces of an idol
that are fully fledged idols in their own right.
Which I lost that little bit of detail until the end, until Tribal Council, because I'm like, okay, we'll talk about that.
I'm like,
part.
Yeah, we'll get there.
We'll get to that part.
I also missed it, so I'm glad you did too.
I completely missed that. I'm thinking this the super idol, and it needs to come together for it to be one full idol.
Yep.
But obviously, we missed that part, and that's not the case. Mm-hmm. So David gives Khan nothing. Khan has to go back to camp and tell the Blue Tribe that he got nothing from the store. So Khan goes back to camp, and let me just say, this man earned my respect in this moment.
This was phenomenal.
This was when King Khan earned the name King Khan to me. Yep. And this is where David earned the Dunce Cap Award for me. Okay.
Not the Dunce Cap Award.
Yes. So Khan goes back to camp, and he tells the camp that they both have an idol. He openly admits that, like, I have this idol. He doesn't show them the whole idol. He holds it where it's just
you can see the edge.
You can see the blue part of the idol, which lets him know that it's an idol and it's blue. But he doesn't show him the other side that is missing a whole other side to that. He just shows him one side of the idol.
Yep.
This is an idol, and this is what I have, this idol. This is the only thing I got. He chose not to give me anything from the store. He tells them all that, tells them the truth, which the camp and the tribe is like, oh, okay. So they know it, so they're not flipping out about it. They're not tripping. They're not flipping.
Yep.
David, on the other hand, goes back to the Red Tribe, and he tells his tribe that he thought he had an idol, but it was soap.
You're really about to sit in front of Sandra Diaz-Twine and tell her that you found a small package and that it was really soap.
So you put it back. Soap.
Also, I will say as well, the items he chose were like, I was kind of confused. So he chooses a fishing net, nuts because apparently someone's vegetarian. I didn't catch who, but someone was. And I was like, that's considerate. I appreciate that. And beef jerky.
Right.
When there was a tarp, there were like other things that are more essential than beef jerky. There was pasta. That's what caught my eye because I was like, there's pasta. That's not going to go bad for a while.
But neither is beef jerky. Beef jerky never goes bad. I mean, I get it. I mean, because like, if you're a meat eater, you kind of want and miss meat at some point, and you can rehydrate beef jerky, and it's just like, okay, this is like a piece of meat that we, whatever. But yeah, I was very much confused by him not picking up like the tarp, because I'm like, if it rains or in the beating hot sun, you want some kind of shade over your shelter, and they could have thrown that tarp as the roof, so that way.
Oh wait, I actually, now that we talk about this, I think they already had one.
Maybe. I know somebody had something.
They definitely got the blankets and the tarp from the reward last episode.
Okay, well then they didn't need the tarp. But
hell, grab a second tarp.
Put it as a door to keep the rain from coming in. I don't know. Whatever. Look, we don't play Survivor. That's why we're not on this show.
Yep, that's why we're here talking about it.
We're talking about it and not there playing it. But I get it. Like, pasta would have been something. The fishing net, I think, was a great choice to take because
fishing net was great. Yeah,
you need a fishing net. But whatever. But Sandra was not buying his soap story at all. Sandra was like, if she could roll her eyes any further, she would have. Like, seriously, that was the lamest thing. So let's move on to the immunity challenge. You feel free to discuss what the challenge itself was.
I would love to.
Cool.
So, sitting out this challenge, we have Jay and Kate from the Red Tribe. And you have to race through a mud pit, chop some logs to then lower a bridge, and then chop another log to lower a ladder. And then, so then you have to like unravel enough chain to move a chest of blocks to your tribe mat, and then the tribe works together to spell blood and water on a giant seesaw.
Yes.
Now, again, I thought this was a lovely challenge. It's a bunch of components of Survivor challenges put together in a new and unique way, which I appreciated.
I appreciated it too. I enjoyed that challenge. I thought it was a good mix of, trying everything, all the different elements, the mental, the physical, I liked it. I liked the challenge.
My problem comes once again from our good friend Jonathan LaPaglia. And I wrote in my notes, in all caps again, the complication of blood versus water is not apparent because Ben and Shay are crossing a fucking balance beam at the same time.
Yeah. I was like, we get it.
I'm tired, Jonathan.
They're a couple. We get it. Blood versus water. We get it.
I will say, the only upside is if you forget who someone's paired with, which I've done a few times already, Jonathan will let you know in a challenge.
Yeah.
So...
Yeah. The cousins. He loved to bring up the cousins. Josh and Jay, Jordan and Jay. Oh my God. It's just okay.
Is that who's paired together?
Girl.
I don't even know.
Look, I don't know at this point. They
haven't shown any of the generically handsome men.
The Jordan, Josh, JJ connection.
Jay, Jordy, Jesse, Josh, and Justin.
No, it's no Justin. Human? It's not a Justin in this show.
There's Jordan, Jay, Jesse, Jordy, and Josh.
Yes, those are the J's. The J's are confusing. Okay, Jesus. Okay.
And they're all relatively attractive men.
Yes.
Which makes it even worse.
It sucks. It's the serious. But, okay.
How difficult our lives are that we can't tell generically attractive men apart.
I mean, the first world problems we're having.
Honestly,
right
they were.
now.
They really were.
Yes, but as we go on with this challenge, it's a good. Like I said, we both like this challenge, so that's good.
Yes.
It's a good challenge. And finally, Blue pulls out a win for the immunity.
They were in sync. I will say this is the one moment this episode where Miss Christie, I was like, I see you.
Yes.
Because she was like, I don't give a fuck. I'm not climbing on anyone's shoulders. I'm going to yell at y'all and tell y'all when to put these blocks on this seesaw.
Put it like this. Chrissy and her mother instincts and organizing skills paid off in tenfold. Like she had them in sync. She had them organized. She had them. It was just, they were a well-oiled machine at that point.
Which Jonathan even says.
Yeah. Like the red team could never.
Because they had, I think it was Jesse trying to.
Jesse was trying
to shout, and it just like wasn't. It was Amy and someone else on their shoulders, and it just like wasn't. It might have been. It was Amy and Sam. It was Amy and Sam kept like going like a beat later than Amy was.
Yeah, and
so it kept throwing things off. She also put the first one on the bar itself instead of on the little like post, and I was like, oh girl. No.
Yeah, it just wasn't working out. Blue was just in sync at that point, and there was no turning back. And so they won, and they finally send Red to Tribal for the first time.
Yep.
So they get back to camp.
Oh,
this is where it gets good for me. Okay. I love after competition, immunity competitions, and going back to that camp. The madness that goes on at these camps after immunity challenge. So David continues his crusade to go after Sandra, and Sam joins in the fray and like, yeah, we need to get rid of Sandra. This is, it's crazy. She's a threat. We can't keep her. If she's here, she's going to win, blah, blah, blah. So this is another point where Sam lost me, because once you go after Sandra Diaz-Twine in this house that I stay in, Sandra Diaz-Twine, you're dead to me. So Sam, I was like, oop, girl, bye. Because you just said the wrong name. But that's just me. Mm-hmm. But she was agreeing with David that they get to go for for Sandra, and a bunch of people were standing around and agreeing with that Sandra needs to go.
Sure.
Yeah. Everybody was agreeing. Sophie agreed Sandra needs to go, and Ben agreed Sandra needs to go, and others agreed Sandra needs to go. But then Ben, with your fine self, Ben says, you know what I think? I don't agree with this plan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go let the queen know that the queen's name is out there.
Yep.
And let the queen do what the queen does. And so Ben walks over and sits in the water with Sandra and says, hey.
And Michelle's there as well.
Yes.
Michelle's there.
Michelle and Sandra are like,
we get to see Michelle.
Yeah,
I was excited.
Michelle and Sandra are like vibing, and I'm like, okay, I'm feeling that. And Kate as well, which was interesting.
This was the fun thing for me, because Nina and Mel are aligned, and then Sandra and Michelle are. Yes. Like, yes, love it. I love it. Anyway, sorry. So, I just had to bring that up because
that's fine. That's totally. So Ben tells Sandra that David said her name, and of course Sandra was like, "Oh, word, son." Okay.
So who said it?
Who said it? He was like, "It was David," and he was like, "She said, oh, word." Well, that's fine because I'm saying his name too.
Yep.
And it was like, oh, okay. So Sandra devises this plan to have Ben, like Nina with Mark and Jordy, to go do her dirty work. Go tell people that and get the majority on board with voting out David. So Ben is definitely running around like, I think we need to get out David. I'm pretty good about. And folks were like, you think? Okay, maybe. I feel like. And so at this point, I was like, okay, Sandra is doing her business. She's making it work. This plan is going to work. But then it started shifting again. And so Sam and Jesse were pushing back on the David vote, and they wanted Sandra out. And so Sam and Jesse went to work, and they were switching and changing minds. So I'm like, oh, no. So in my head, I'm like, oh, is Sandra not going to get her play? Is this not going to happen? And we went to Tribal not knowing where the votes were going to fall. Was it David? Was it Sam? What is happening? I don't know.
Well, Sam wasn't a target.
Sam. Was it David? Was it Sandra? Not Sam.
Was it Kate? Because I do want to say as well, when David set up the original plan to vote out Kate or to vote out Sandra,
Kate was the fall guy.
Kate was the fall guy in case Sandra had an idol.
Yep.
And so he tells the big boys to vote for Kate. Now we are at Tribal.
Okay, first of all, we're at Tribal, but let me rewind for a second and roll my eyes at the big boys comment. Because, like,
his words, not mine.
I know.
Words, not mine.
I know. And when he said, I was like, give me a break. Get out of here. And they make comments like that, like other boys do. Like in the Blue Tribe, it was like, last time it was the boys were going to vote one way and the girls were going to vote. I was like, are we really doing this?
It's every season of Australian Survivor.
Yeah, and US Survivor as well. So I was like, it's just so annoying. This is bothers
I agree.
me. This bothers me. But okay, we're at Tribal.
Yep.
And this is where hell breaks loose and the mess ensues and craziness happens. And when I tell you the red team, if the red team was going for as big of a entertainment value in a Tribal like the Blues' first Tribal was,
they got succeeded.
It. They succeeded because they gave us everything in this Tribal. Literally everything I wanted and needed. So we start out and Jonathan, of course, is like, so how do we feel about this tribe? Everybody's like, we're good. Like, this is what's so bad about coming to Tribal for the first time because we're so relaxed and enjoy each other. We like each other. And it's kumbaya. Right. And now we have to scramble and votes and, make plans. And it's hard, but, we're going to do what we got to do. We got to make our plans and we got the plans. Yep. Everybody's talking about these plans and plans on plans on plans. And David is sitting there looking like, plans on plans on plans? What are we talking about? Because I only got one plan.
There were plans.
There were plans. Plural as in plans? Because I've only heard one plan, singular.
Well, that's because he made it.
Exactly. But so this is where my brain had to have short-circuited.
Yep.
Because I was like, what the heck is going on? David sat there and went from, we're great driving, things. And then all of a sudden, it's like something in his brain said, poop, poop, poop. What? Plans on plans? And I only wrote plans, and I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm just going, for some reason, he decides to totally throw Sam under the bus, back the bus up, roll the bus over again, and back it up again.
Yeah. I think it's because Sam was the person that got asked the question and she said plans. So I want to say that was, like, I'm trying to understand his logic, and I don't still. But I would say likely it's because Sam was the person that said plans when asked. But yeah, so David decides he's going to go after Miss Sam, calling her out as the social butterfly. And Sam is like, I just spent this entire afternoon trying to save your ass and make plans that weren't your name. So now what am I going to do? I'm going to walk around to every single other person at this tribal and tell them to vote you out. And that's what I've landed on a positive note with Sam because of this tribal.
Yes, this tribal made me understand Sam's game a little bit. Do I like it?
No, because Yet to be determined.
Because look, like I said, you say the wrong name, and I'm like, oof. She said the wrong name for me. She needs to fix that and change that around for me. And like I say, I get going after Sandra. You have to at some point.
Yeah.
This is just not the time for me. You just don't do it right now. So anybody who says it right now, I'm like, ugh, no.
Yep.
But yeah. But Sam, like you said, gets up and goes to every person. Is like, I will not have this man who I worked so hard for all day
to save,
and you call me out and throw me under the bus as the social butterfly and trying to shift the votes onto me when I was trying to save you. No. So Sam went and told everybody to vote for David.
Now, unfortunately,
unknowing to
what Sam was not aware of.
No. And what Sam will find out after everybody votes, when Jonathan says his spiel about if anyone wants to use an idol, this is now the time to do it. And everybody looks, and David says, you know what? I'm not going home tonight. I'm not going home. I'll use an idol. And Jonathan, like, on whom? He was like, on myself.
And Sam fully is just like,
because now Sam knows.
And so
Sam knows that Sam has to deal with this man.
I reiterate my earlier thought. Lana may or may not have her computer may or may not have just gone.
No,
but I'm going to continue on and stall as long as I. Oh no, there's Lana. I found.
Lana. I'm still here.
Then that was me. we love shoddy Wi-Fi on both ends. We love to see it. But yes, so because of the original David plan.
I mean, but see, this is the thing, though. Before we get into that thing, though, it was just like we still didn't know what the votes were going to be now that David used this idol on himself and who was doing what. But like you were saying, I'm sorry, the original plan, back to square one, where we both started this whole day out, it was supposed to be Sandra, Kate, if Sandra had an idol. And then Sandra's plan was David. But on a vote of 7-3 to 1.
8 to 3 to 1.
8 to 3 to 1. 8 to 3 to 1.
Because that makes 12. Math is difficult. I get
8 to 3 to 1. 8 to 3 to 1 was Kate was voted out. David getting 8 votes that did not count.
Yep.
And Sandra only got the 1 vote from
Sam.
From Sam. Even David, who started the Sandra plan, did not vote Sandra.
Nope.
I was utterly confused by the vote. I got the 8 because of David, because Sandra made the plan and the plan was going to happen that way.
Yep.
But the 3 on Kate, Who was the 3 on Kate?
So it was David, which was the original plan was for him to vote Kate the whole time.
Okay.
So that's why it didn't surprise me as much when I found out that he had voted Kate, because like it made sense.
All the big boys were supposed to vote Kate.
So it was David, Ben, and Jordan.
All voted Kate.
Yep.
Well, okay. Well, unfortunately, Kate, we like Kate because Kate was like, Kate thought she was going anyway. Kate was like, I feel like it could be me. I'm very nervous. Like Kate came out of the gate saying, "Oh, Jonathan, I think it might be me. I'm nervous."
She even makes a comment. Someone makes a comment about like Tribe Strong, which I hate.
Yes,
I hate Tribe Strong. Whatever. There's more than physical strength in Survivor. The point is, especially in the tribal phase, there's more to Tribe Strong than physical strength. Anyway. Yes. She goes, well, if they're saying Tribe Strong, then I guess it's me. And I'm like, as much as I liked Kate as a person, she ultimately was such a non-factor that I was like, you know what? Keep the David v. Sandra drama for another episode. Sure. Yeah. Like, sure.
Yeah, I was at that point like, it could be her, and I wouldn't be that mad.
But I have to say, she now has one of my absolute favorites exit lines of any Survivor season ever. Bye, guys. I'm going to KFC. Period, queen. Period.
And they were goofed again. Like, oh, that's so rude.
Because I don't know if you know, Lana, but like KFC is a big fucking deal, especially in Australia.
Huge in Australia.
Like KFC, I would say, and Australian people, please correct me. I would say KFC is bigger than like McDonald's in Australia.
And like, KFC in Australia is like the McDonald's to America, because like McDonald's is the biggest #1 fast food chain here. KFC,
and they have it. They have
McDonald's, right? I know they have it, but like, if you could get KFC over McDonald's, they pick KFC, and I get it. I had KFC today, by the way.
I worked at a KFC, so I cannot eat KFC anymore.
I mean, that's fine. I worked at McDonald's, but
sure. Yeah. I worked at a joint KFC Taco Bell.
Oh,
both in the same. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, not great
mess.
But I mean, I get it. And when you work somewhere, it's just hard to sometimes eat there again. But I had KFC today. It was delicious, by the way.
What did you get?
The Famous Bowl.
Yes, period.
I love the Famous Bowl.
That was before my time.
Yeah, I know.
They introduced the Famous Bowl like right after I worked there, and I was like, y'all gotta be kidding me, right?
The Famous Bowl and their chicken pot pie are my go-to. Oh my God. Go-to.
I think the only thing I could eat from there, and I would enjoy it, honestly, at this point, would be the mac and cheese.
And they don't even have also, mac and cheese.
I know, but yeah. I also think the last couple of seasons of Australian Survivor have actually been sponsored by KFC, so I don't know if this season is as well. Their most recent season of Big Brother Australia as well, sponsored by KFC.
KFC, so, cool. I mean, look, I feel like sponsorships on these shows are amazing. Like, I appreciate, I like how Big Brother Canada has Wendy's doing their thing. I feel like America's been like, why don't we have sponsorships like that in U.S. Big Brother or in Survivor?
It's so just Paramount Plus now. That's the sponsorship is Paramount Plus.
See, I don't like that. I want
Lana, just wait for Survivor South Africa. Your opinion might change after watching one season of Survivor South Africa, because while I appreciate the sponsorships there, they go a little bit too far. But they're also a smaller Survivor franchise with not a lot of funding comparatively, even to Australia. So I get it. I'm not mad at it. It just gets a little annoying by the end of the season. But regardless,
I mean, but see, like, remember when in Big Brother. U.S. Big Brother, when like Outback would sponsor a challenge and then they would get the reward to eat Outback, food or whatever. I miss those. Like, and I like, and like in Big Brother Canada, when the HOH gets the food from Wendy's and their family member is the person behind it. Like, I love that little aspect. And I do like when Big Brother does like a movie night and they get to see a movie or a TV show that's not out yet or not on yet. So I just like those kind of things.
Sure.
I don't want it where it's like in the middle of the competition, like, oh, sponsored by it's just
Australia and South Africa are both like, what's your reward this week? I'm glad you asked. Sponsored by X, Y, and Z.
Right.
Like, it's the X, Y, and Z reward. And I'm like, I don't need this. I don't need this, but whatever.
Yeah, I loved it. I have to say, I'm very excited about watching the rest of this season. I think I'm more watching this season of Survivor than I was excited about watching US Survivor. So honestly, I can't wait. I know another episode dropped by, I think, today.
There will probably be 2 episodes out by the time we get our review out. Sorry.
No, that's next week's. We look, we have a life and we have a schedule and we can't do every episode of Survivor Australia every day. So we will give you 3 every week.
Yeah. Yeah. So and we're gonna be doing weekly. Hopefully on Sundays is when y'all will be seeing the episodes. Hopefully. That's my personal goal. Because that's when it starts again. So I'm hopeful that is what we will be doing. We got a lot going on, as y'all probably saw from the YouTube channel. But nevertheless, that's what we think about week 1 of Australian Survivor, Blood versus Water. Because in case you didn't know, it's blood versus water. If you made it through this entire episode and didn't just skip through the timestamps that are going to be in the description, I appreciate you. Let us know in the comments what you thought of the first week. Who are your favorites? Who are your least favorites? And why is it David? Let us know in the comments. Follow us on all of our Twitter. Scrolling on screen now and also available in the description below. And with that, Lana, we did that.
We did it.
Cheers with our abnormally large drinking vessels.
Cheers, my love.
Cheers.
We did that.
Bye now. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. This is going to be short because we're tired. Bye.